Recently, I was able to enjoy my son's first riding experience after completing the motorcycle safety course. We loaded up a couple of bikes and headed to the local school parking lot to get in some much needed practice. We rode for a while enjoying our practice, but my Harley soon had some issues, so I had to put it up while it still had its own power, and then both me and my son switched off riding the other bike we had. We both ended up dropping the bike. I hadn't put engine guards on it. I'm glad I was there though with my son this day. Not only did he get to see me drop the bike as I was pushing myself in some skills development, but I was able to encourage him to keep going after he had a similar experience. Later that day, I thought about how different my first motorcycle experience was than his. I was inexperienced and alone. My son was actually with me the first time in Sikkim, Gangtok to be exact, where my first ride was on the back of a bike traversing the busy streets of a northern India town at night. But my personal motorcycle journey started in the spring of the year I turned 50. I ended up in Southeast Asia, Laos to be more precise, riding a scooter, alone, down dangerous mountain haul roads, barely holding together. How in the world did I end up there? Well, I've discovered a deep love for travel over the past 10 years, so when my daughter went to Thailand to meet with a non-governmental organization she was hoping to volunteer with, I tagged along on the trip. She had a few days of meetings I was not a part of, so I ventured across the border into Laos, where one of the primary forms of transportation is the motorcycle. Follow along as I promise to get back to riding bikes soon. I've always been fascinated by Southeast Asia, especially the history surrounding the Vietnam War. The war wasn't limited to Vietnam though. It touched Laos and Cambodia too. And in my searching, I discovered something that instantly caught my attention. An archaeological site in Laos called the Plain of Jars, an area rich with mystery, history, and as I soon learned, scars from the war. The Plain of Jars is not just an archaeological wonder, it is also a silent witness to conflict. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. conducted secret operations in Laos, supporting certain ethnic groups and carrying out bombing campaigns that still affect the region today. When you walk those fields, you see remnants of trenches, bomb craters, and signs warning you not to stray off the cleared paths. Much of the countryside still hides unexploded ordnance. It's very sobering. But this story isn't about Laos, it's about how that trip to Laos unexpectedly set me on a new path entirely, one involving motorcycles. To reach the Plain of Jars, I needed to get from one city to another. The local airport was closed, and the options were bus, truck, or motorcycle. And for some reason I thought, why not a motorcycle? Now keep in mind, beyond riding on the back of a bike in India, I had zero motorcycle experience. The closest thing I'd ever ridden was a bicycle. But I wanted adventure, and that desire momentarily overrode my common sense. So I rented a small bike, a scooter actually, and hit the road. The route from Luang Prabang to Phonsavan is mountainous and rugged. It's a trucking highway that's well overdue for widening and rework. A vast majority of the pavement has been destroyed by overuse, and other parts aren't paved at all. It's a challenging road even for seasoned riders, I've been told. I had no clue what I was getting into, and yes, any experienced rider watching this is probably shaking their head right now. It was reckless, it was dangerous. I had 3 minor crashes along the way, and thankfully nothing broke except my pride. When I finally reunited with my daughter later in southern Thailand, she took one look at me, bruised and cut up, and said it looked like the riding was bad, and she wasn't wrong. I was sore for a while afterward. I might have even had small, undiagnosed fractures or 2. The dangers of that ride tested me. I experienced real fear, loneliness, anxiety. I thought long and hard about turning back. There were gaps of time that I wasn't sure what I should do. I didn't have anyone to lean on or to look to. It was just me. But even through the pain and fear, I knew 2 things for sure. Number 1, I wanted to take another adventure like this again. And number 2, next time I would do it the right way, with knowledge, proper training, and a lot more respect for the adverse conditions. And it's not that I didn't respect the conditions of the road, it just never dawned on me how bad it could be and how little I knew about two-wheeled travel. That trip taught me a lot about myself. I learned again how I react under stress, how I'll initially flare up, then I'll calm down and start thinking logically again. I learned the value of persistence because I chose to keep going and complete my goal, which meant making it all the way to the Plain of Jars and actually visiting those historical archaeological sites. There were moments when I thought about turning back. The road was rough, the weather unpredictable, and I was completely alone. No tools, no backup plan, no experience. But I kept going, and by the time I reached my destination, I realized this wasn't just a wild ride, it was a defining moment, one that showed me what I was capable of and what I still needed to learn. On that mountainside in Laos, I discovered something profound. Being on a bike forced me to be present, completely aware of every sound, smell, and movement around me. It was raw, it was real, everything demanded my full attention. Amid the fear, anxiety, loneliness, and questions, I also felt a sense of peace and of being alive in a way I had not known before. When I reached the town I was heading for and bedded down for the night, I finally had time to reflect on what had just happened. I realized that riding had a way of pulling me into the now. No distractions, no noise from the outside world, just focus, awareness, and the present. Once I was there, out of the mountains, I rode from place to place on my bike, and even in the busy roads of Pansavan with no problems. Although my body ached from my wrecks, I enjoyed that experience. I also relearned the humility of knowing when to stop. I knew that I shouldn't return the way I came, so I hired a haul truck to take me back. We traveled the same route I took between the two cities. That 4x4 truck had a difficult time traversing the rough terrain, just like I did, and I remember being amazed that I had made it on that tiny scooter, definitely not made for rough terrain. That first experience on a bike in Laos lit a spark that hasn't gone out. Now I'm planning ahead. I'm planning a trip to ride motorcycles through parts of remote Mongolia, and I hope to share that adventure with you here on this channel. If that happens, I'll need to be prepared, and I mean really prepared. So for me, that means 3 things. Number 1, get formal motorcycle training. Number 2, take an advanced riding course or 2. Number 3, learn real bike maintenance. And that's why I bought an older motorcycle, something simple enough to learn on and maintain myself. I want to understand every nut and bolt, every sound and vibration. This is the beginning of a new chapter, one that's about learning, growing, and discovering the joy of the ride, even later in life. So that's where the name 50 Plus Cycles comes from. It's not just about motorcycles, it's about motion. It's about rediscovering adventure, testing yourself, and finding excitement at a stage of life when most people are slowing down. I may have started late, but I'm making up for lost time, one ride at a time.